Woof. That YouTube compression on the intro probably destroyed all chances I could have ever had for keeping this show professional. Well. I guess it's just a part of the aesthetic now. So, to start things off, I'm going to go ahead and say that this episode, unlike any other episode, is going to be a lot more wordy because I have to sort of explain to you what this show is even about. So, MMR Report, the little show I got going on here, is based around the social interactions that we all have on a day-to-day basis within the world of Dota 2. So it's a bit of a hybrid show. It is these clips that would normally be wins and or fails, but they were just a little bit too long to make the cut for the 5 seconds of glory you get on all those fancy fails videos. But I wanted to make sure that there's an extra emphasis on the player. This show is intended to sort of showcase the real experience of Dota 2, which is something that I think has been lacking from a lot of the videos. It doesn't showcase the real user experience and what you're planned to expect when you jump into Dota 2. You have these pro highlights, you have some fails and wins, which are pretty relatable, and then you have tutorial videos, but there's nothing quite like the real raw experience that you get from maybe those one or two uploaders who personally upload themselves commentating over this kind of stuff. So that's where I come in. I'm sort of the middleman between all those. This show is intended to be for the people, by the people. But enough overview. It's time to talk about how the show is actually structured. The way MMR Report is structured is that every episode is dedicated to whatever player submits their clips, and I choose them. They have to submit at least 2 or 3 clips of their ranked MMR matchmaking, and it is a requirement that it has to at least have 2 or 3 social interactions within it. So, what do I mean by social interactions? Well, what I mean is, I want to see those moments of rage quitting, of toxicity in which people resort to the worst and most horrible things they could ever say. This show has no filters. I will say this though. You cannot be the aggressor in the situation. I'm not trying to promote hate speech. I'm not trying to do some sort of anti-campaign against anyone. So, you cannot be the person spouting the hate speech and think that you can proudly submit yourself to the show. This is intended to sort of capture the idiocy of the community and how some people can just take video games too seriously and absolutely say very regrettable things. And also, it doesn't always have to be negative. There could be games in which it starts out negative, and maybe it could be just a glorious comeback story, and maybe you even commend him for forgiving. If that's even a thing anymore. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into the first episode of MMR Report. Alright, all systems check. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the premiere episode of MMR Report. I'm your host, ZDAWG39, and here is our featured player. Yeah. No.
But I didn't even get a chance to...
There's no time! It's halfway through the goddamn episode, we haven't even shown a goddamn clip!
Oh, jeez.
Stop! So the very first featured player on the show is myself, ZDAWG. My solo MMR is 3,593. My party MMR is 3,030. My first match was on 8/10/2013, so I've been around for a while. I know some shit that's been going on, and I have about 4,200 hours on the game. So enough chit chat. Let's see what the show's gonna be like. Time for some clips. Let's go! Alright, here in Game 1, we have on the Radiant side, Lifestealer, Slardar, Treon Protector, Invoker, and Rubik. I will be taking the place of Lifestealer, heading over to the safe lane this game, and on the opposing team, on the Dire side, is Luna, Lycan, Puck, Shadow Shaman, and Centaur. Now this game is quite a special game, because in this game, it was the first game of the year. It was on January 1st of 2017. It was a brand new year, and I was so glad to be back to my favorite game of, I don't know, not of all time, but yeah, it's definitely like number 2. The most game I've ever played. Definitely a game that I've sunk into, probably the most time into any video game. It was great to be back. It was refreshing to see just the wonderful positivity that the whole team had. Both enemy and allies alike were so happy to celebrate the new year with one another and share this experience, playing Dota 2. It was so nice. It was so unexpected. I haven't seen anything like that in such a long time. That was until things took a turn for the worst. Here to explain the situation is our on-foot reporter, Steve Irwin. Steve, what's going on down there?
Tonight, we go into a very isolated and extremely remote gorge in mid-western Queensland. Now, this is a python, carpet python, a son of a gun. Now, pythons, of course, can be aggressive. It's their only method of making sure that they don't get eaten by other predators. A bite's one thing, but they've got no fangs and they've got no venom, so I'm in no danger whatsoever.
Wow! Pythons! This is probably really offensive to some people.
Working with animals has its moments, but luckily pythons are not poisonous, so I was in no danger. Some people think you'd have to be crazy, rescuing crocodiles and catching snakes, but the conservation of these animals is really important to me. Unfortunately though, the job puts me in constant danger, but even the most dangerous times have their lighter moments. And in he goes, back into his deep, dark, dirty water.
Thanks, Steve. Always a pleasure to have dead celebrities reanimate themselves in order to be on my show. So to elaborate on what Steve was talking about, the lycanthrope was having a little trouble jungling, and, well, long story short, the lichen got fucked over by the Treant Protector, and it tilted the whole dire side. So here's a montage.
Great. That's just fucking great, man. Shit now, man.
You finished?
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we...
So, what? Why don't you go back to trying to stun magic immune targets, you jackass?
What you say? That you only meant well, 'cause 'cause you did what you say. That it's all for the best, 'cause it is what you say. That it's just what we need. You decided this, what you say. What did you?
You gabbage! Get out of here! So even though Centaur said the thing that he did, it's not exactly aggressive enough for me to really get after him about it. It was a rather kind of passive comment. I mean, it's still not right that he did that, but it's definitely too minor for me to go on a rant about race relations, which will eventually happen due to the nature of this series. But until then, this episode just sort of featured minor toxicities adding amongst each other. So what it was the Luna spamming to report the Lycan, even though it wasn't entirely his fault. His entire team died to an army of 2 of their Treon Protector and Slaughter, which were complete badasses, by the way. And in that game, I don't know if you noticed, but I actually didn't do jack shit that game. All I did was sort of slap the Centaur's ass for a little while, whilst I just free-farmed bottom and took towers.
Hey, look, Bells will give us a 172 minus sunset.
Oh my guy, he likes it.
I mean, they really got their shit kicked in. I mean, so hard that the Lycan and Luna ended up jungling Ancients together.
In the arms of the angel, fly.
And then there was the fact that the Centaur said that he wanted AFK and just flat out give up. And lastly, no matter how hard they tried, they'd lost the mental game, and they couldn't find any sort of cooperation amongst each other. So because of that, they lost. They got tilted. But before we close out today's show, here's a word from our sponsor.
Welcome.
What?
What are you buying?
There's hardly rich.
Got something that might interest you.
It's a new age of magic. Run, run, I say. Fear me, Kundalini.
About half of men over the age of 40 have erectile dysfunction. But here's the thing. Schmiagra helps you get an erection and keep one. And remember, you only take it when you need it. Side effects may include, but are not limited to, vomiting, lactating nipples, glowing with sexual energy, sexual urges towards creeps, growing a second ribcage, growing a third testicle, being able to taste sound, loss of hearing, and much more. If your heart is not healthy enough to take Schmiagra, please see a doctor and bitch and complain to him about how much that sucks. If an erection lasts for longer than 4 hours, also call a doctor and see if you can get that amputated. No creeps were hurt in the filming of this commercial.
Light shadows through you.
So I hope you enjoyed this small taste of what's to come. Unfortunately, I had more content to be shown in this episode, but those replays were out of date by the time that I was ready to sort of edit all this kind of stuff. And when I did hop back on Dota to find some fresh cancer, I actually couldn't find any. The community had actually gotten better since I'd last played, which is, I guess, a pretty good thing. Maybe not in my case, but it feels a little better. So if you like what you see and you want me to animate your little adventures and commentate on them and all that bullshit and all the hell you go through, why don't you go ahead and click on this annotation or click on the link in the description. The way this process works is that I have a Discord server, and it's just sort of an interview process. You just leave a message there, and I'll get to you when I can. And I'll just ask you a couple of questions on what happened, and we'll clarify on whether it's worthy or not. So unfortunately, you have to be able to speak English in order for me to talk to you. That's my fault, I'm sorry. Maybe in the future we'll get some translators or whatever, but for now, only English speakers on the Discord, unless it's just blatantly obvious how toxic the match is in the clip that you show me, or some shit like that. But yeah, if you want to be a part of the show, click on the Discord link or the one in the description. But I hope you enjoyed this minor taste of what's to come if the show does take off and people enjoy what's here. Oh, and do me a favor, if you like the series, spread the word around. Tell your pals, all your Dota buddies, your 5-stack, your that one guy that you play with every now and then. Just sort of spread this as much as you can. It'd be real nice, you know. I would really appreciate it wholeheartedly. So yeah. And don't forget to hit that like button. It means a lot for this up-and-coming teeny-weeny channel. Really makes a difference. So, with that being said, thank you for joining me for the premiere episode of MMR Report. I'm your host, ZDAWG39, and stay classy, Dota 2.